Okay, may I just say right off the bat, I can kinda, sorta, almost understand what my father was going through. Battling for the custody of a toddler, working a shitty, low-paying job while living in a fire-trapped slum house, that kind of pressure would make anyone a little crazy. But remember, I said almost. I don't know why he felt the need to strap me in my high chair with a handful of Cheerios and a sippy cup of water every day. Why he left me sitting there, shooting me a guilty look as he pretended to leave for work. I sure as shit don't know why he took the floral sheet off the couch and then came back in to torture me. I was between 2 and 3. I was stuck in that chair for hours at a time, sitting in my own filth. I was already having a pretty shitty time even before my dad put on a sheet like a dime store ghost and came after me. I remember that sheet. God. It was this gaudy 70s design. The flowers were mustard-colored on a magenta background. Dad would pretend to go out the front door, which was conveniently not visible from my high chair, and then after about an hour, he'd don the sheet and tiptoe into the kitchen. He spoke in this cracked, high voice when he had the sheet on and used baby talk to mock me. The fact that he didn't even sound like himself was the worst part for me, like my dad had turned into a cruel stranger when he was under that sheet. The torture was uniquely horrible every day. Some days he would tickle me by jabbing his fingertips into my ribs until I screamed. Some days he would make a big batch of flavorless oatmeal and feed me. The oatmeal was only ever 2 temperatures, scalding hot or cold cement. Whichever one it was, he would feed me without waiting for me to respond, jabbing me in the gums with a soft palate with a spoon and giving me bruises. All the while, he would screech at me to open wide for the airplane! Open wide for the birdie! A few times he brought a ripping comb. The kind you use on poodles and other dogs who can't shed. Suffice to say, my hair grows weird on those patches. He never changed my diaper. He didn't take me out of the chair or give me any other food. Every day, right before he was supposed to come home from work, he'd slip into the next room and tuck the sheet back on the couch. Then he'd go out the front door. In an hour, he'd come back in the front door with his concerned father disguise on. He looked so guilty and sick when he saw me screaming in my high chair, pulling me out and cleaning me off. He would apologize to me, rocking me gently. The contrast between this gentle, caring person and the floral sheep monster would have driven me completely insane if we had lived there much longer. Luckily, my father eventually earned enough money to move us to a shitty rental house. The couch and its hideous floral sheet stayed behind. There was a nice abuelita living next door who would watch me during the day, so no more torture. Eventually, I went to go live with my aunt and uncle during my teens. I understandably had trouble trusting anyone after that. So, I never really connected with anyone. Family, friends. I also had an irrational fear of floral patterns. I once saw an ugly pillowcase with the same pattern hanging up in a thrift store. I had to be taken from the store by security. My dad drifted away from me. He never retired. He was still working well into his 60s. He sent me a little money every month when I lived with my aunt, and then when I moved, I didn't leave a forwarding address. I would have been happy never seeing him again, but when my grandfather's wake rolled around, I changed my mind. I was going to confront him. The house was full of grieving relatives when I arrived. I almost didn't recognize my father. Age had shrunk him, made him wizened. He looked like a man of 160, not 60. When he saw me, a look of utter grief came over his face. I knew then that he had come here to talk with me, too. We went to the porch, where cold had driven the other mourners back inside. We both just leaned on the old wooden rail for a moment, saying nothing. "I know it don't mean a whole lot," my father said, "but I'm so goddamn sorry for what I put you through, kiddo. I think I felt I had to, you know?" I saw red. Had to? Had to? On what fucking planet do you live where any of that seemed necessary? My dad shrank back. I guess I must have been shouting. When he spoke again, he spoke really fast, like he was going to pull one over on me. "You have to understand, I was watching your mother go downhill working slave hours, and I still couldn't put good food on the table. I had us living in that slum house where the doors never locked properly and there were fleas." "So how the fuck do you justify the torture you put me through every day?" I had asked. "You tell me how any of that was necessary." All of the color drained from my father's face. "I had no choice, I told you. I couldn't afford childcare, and I didn't trust anyone living there." "So you just had to do the stupid sheet thing?" My dad blinked. He gave me an odd look. "No," he said in a puzzled tone. "I used to buckle you in your high chair and then go to work. I couldn't find anyone to watch you, so I would put you in that chair and then just leave you for hours alone in that apartment." If you, unlike certain large corporations, enjoy horror and being scared, you can support this channel on Patreon located in the link in the description below. Good night.